Hello. We live in a world surrounded by cameras. Cameras on the way into this building, cameras in this room, the cameras that each of us are carrying in our pockets at the moment on our phones. And the purpose of Evercam is to make these cameras programmable, and thereby to unleash a whole new category of software development based around the live image. We're here today to talk about some of the customers who are using our platform and how that's helped them to improve their businesses. I'll start with a company called Tunstall. Tunstall have sensors in over 4 million homes worldwide. They're monitoring for things like somebody falling down the stairs, somebody leaving the gas cooker on. This is elderly and vulnerable people. When one of those alerts is triggered, it goes back to the call center, and this chap has to deal with it as best he can without being able to actually see what's going on. Obviously, they could provide a much better service if they could access the cameras that are often in that location. So Tunstall set about solving this problem themselves. They had a team of developers. They spent 12 months and over $1 million on this until they realized that this project was bigger than they had anticipated. It was risky and expensive, and they decided to stop further work. This is very, very typical of many camera-related projects. The issues they came up against: local network issues. Cameras, like any local network device, will misbehave. There's firewalls, routers, port forwarding. When those problems reach the desk of the software developer, things get very expensive. The camera industry is incredibly fragmented. Software developed for a Sony camera probably won't work for a Panasonic camera, and there are thousands of devices that a developer can be asked to support. And finally, once that software is actually written, to get it working with each subsequent customer is a laborious process in itself, requiring quite a lot of customer participation and knowledge. So that's where the Evercam platform comes in. We try and reduce all of that complexity and expose to the software developer a beautiful, modern, hosted web API. The 3 problems I mentioned in detail. The local network issues. Part of our product is for our customer's customer, the person who owns the camera, to help them get the camera connected and keep it connected, removing all of those problems from the desk of the software developer. We guarantee when software is written for our API that it will work with any camera that can be connected to the internet. And finally, the App Store. We make it as easy to get software working on a camera as it is today to get it working on a phone. So back to Tunstall. We were given the opportunity to introduce our platform as a solution to their problem. This time, 1 developer, 1 month, and they have a successful working deployed solution which is being rolled out. Their customer is getting a better service, and Evercam is generating a recurring fee on a per camera basis. One more example. Here we're talking about supply chain. In this specific case, a farmer's grain is being delivered by a transport company to the merchant. 3 people are involved, all of whom want a visual verification of this transaction. They want an image as the vehicle is weighed on the way in, and a vehicle as it's weighed on the way out. That's what Evercam enables, and it enables it at scale for these software developers to not have to worry about the hardware. For the purposes of our demonstration, I'd like to introduce you to Harvey. Harvey's our youngest developer. He's 12 years old. He combined the Evercam API with the Twitter API. We've enabled a camera that will reply to a tweet. I'll switch you over to Vinny, my co-founder, to demonstrate this. We can see on his phone, he's sending the tweet to @EVRCM. I'm going to ask you later on to replicate this from your own phones. The camera on the front of the stage, which has a bit of stage fright with the light, but you can basically see that's looking out at the audience, and it's replied back with a live image. What's exciting there is, in this case, it was Twitter, but that could have been triggered by anything. A doorbell, a weighing scales, something being assembled, disassembled, anything going through the manufacturing process or being delivered. We'll come back to my deck, please. Right. So you're very welcome @EVRCM, and you should be getting a response from the camera, which in this case happens to be an Android device at the front of the stage. where we've come from to bring us to this point and the sort of the industry landscape, there are hosted security products out there, live and recorded view, and many of them have an API. The difference is with our company, our product is an API. It's entirely developer focused. It means we offer a better service to developers. And then there is also the local development platforms. But again, by being a hosted platform, it's always going to be a vastly superior experience for the developer. However, the businesses that I mentioned there, that is our background. We've been deploying these hosted and local systems for some of the larger camera deployments out there. And our technical lead, when he was CTO for Deutsche Telekom, he was responsible for their developer platform used in over 13 countries. So we have the experience for this. To look at the big picture again for a moment, Evercam does for cameras what Android and iOS has done for mobile phones. And we're here today to talk to you, the innovators, about what applications you can use cameras for, how to make your software better. Thank you very much.
All right. Evercam. Judges.
So the big brother potential for this is obviously very high. If the government comes to you and offers you 100 million tomorrow, do you sell?
100 million, huh? Yeah, privacy is always the first question that comes into people's minds whenever we talk about cameras. And it's very, very important for us to position ourselves on the right side of that story. Usually the privacy issue is related to not knowing who's behind those cameras. What are they being used for? What data is being kept about me? In the Tunstall example, there were two sides of the story that were concerned. Both the person who was being filmed and also the person in the call center who was slightly uncomfortable with the possibility of having this video access. Evercam is the trusted man in the middle in that case. That video channel is only open when there's an active emergency call. And it's only on that basis that the video connection is made. And everything that happens is monitored by us as a third party. So we can see who looked at what and what they saw. Also, in terms of the domain of public cameras, the big thing again is when I'm filmed on a public camera in Europe, you own that data. And Evercam is the sort of platform that could enable that very well-intentioned law to actually become reality, that I could actually get hold of the video that is being kept by me, by the state, and so on. So we see ourselves very much as on the force for good in the world of cameras, which is an inevitable thing.
You said that your software works universally with any webcam out there. Is that because the webcams have a standard connection to the web and you guys are plugging in there? Will you just walk me through how it's so universally applicable day one?
Kind of in the opposite, actually. Our starting ground is security cameras, so CCTV. It's a massively fragmented industry. The market leader has something like 6%, and therefore, thereafter, it's a very long tail. Each of those cameras behaves differently. So what we've been working on for the last 4 years, including our previous company, is being able to deal with all those different cameras, both to get the footage of now, the different formats, but also what they've recorded in the past. I went as far as to say any connected camera, because the obvious future for this business is to work with everything else. If it can produce an image and can be connected to the internet, there's no good reason why it can't be applied to our service. But it's definitely not a trivial task. That is a large part of the problem.
What needs to happen on the hardware side for it to be able to connect with you guys? So what do I need to do to my CCTV camera to make it work with you?
Right. For most people, it's a case of having the camera exposed to the wide area network, to the internet, and then we need those details. In the case of the Android phone at the front, you run an app, it connects back to your account, and that camera is then remotely controllable by our software.
But so you're taking CCTV and exposing it to the wide access network. That's a huge security risk?
So the cameras themselves carry HTTP, HTTPS. The system also works in a scenario where the camera, so long as the camera and the client remain in the local network, there's no need for that video to travel via our service. This can work on a peer-to-peer basis. For some of our clients, they're very cautious about video getting onto the outside world. It remains within the local network. But the same logic is there of what stream is coming from the device, what codecs can be played on the client device, and that's where.
So this point, it's not a plug and play. You're not going to turn this on tomorrow and every camera in the world is suddenly able to do this. There's some real shift of behavior that needs to happen in order for the majority of cameras to work with your service, yes?
there's a significant task for the camera owner to get it connected. There's also a large number of public cameras that are sort of ready to go. So we've been working a lot with 34th Street and 8th, tweeting there and having some fun with that. And then also all the Android devices.
But those public cameras aren't heavily used, right? There's not this massive amount of traffic that's looking at Times Square live other than on New Year's. So the cameras that you guys currently have access to, they're probably not the cameras that are going to make this a huge business. How do you shift that behavior in a more rapid fashion than doing you said a lot of work on the camera owner side? So
a surprisingly big step forward in that very thorny problem is simply giving that problem to the appropriate person. Like the network engineer, the camera owner. Let's look in the enterprise environments where we've got large numbers of cameras, where we've got large corporations with ERP systems and they want those integrations. Give it to the network guy because he knows how to solve that problem. Just don't give it to the software guy, whatever you do, because that's where the projects die.
I keep coming back to this idea that you guarantee it'll work with every camera out there. Is that because you're going to provide the service that if it doesn't work, you'll make it work?
Yes.
So if you split your business, how much do you think you're a services business versus an API business?
So far, the task of making individual makes and models of cameras work with our platform is just incremental work, and it's not a major issue. Like a camera that can be connected to the internet, by definition, produces a JPEG or a H.264 stream, and that's what we deal in. So the actual technicalities of being able to cope with one or the other is not a great leap of technology. It's very much existing stuff. Does that answer?
Yeah, it does. Have you looked at audio stream as well?
Yeah, right. So cameras also produce audio, and then sometimes there's two-way audio, there's PTZ, there's additional functionality that will, as time goes by, be built into the platform.
Why are you enterprise first? Why not go consumer? Where a consumer, if you can find a couple use cases, you can see a change of behavior happen more rapidly than you guys going out, pounding doors, and getting that behavior shift in the enterprise.
It's our belief that the bigger revenue, the bigger value adds will be in the enterprise space early on. Cameras, for all that they promise, are still slightly fiddly devices for your average home user. And the average home user use cases are largely catered for by live and recorded view, which is the existing technology.
But isn't it better to optimize for the long-term revenue, which might be in the enterprise, by figuring out how to get there quicker through a different channel? Because everything you said so far is there's a lot of changes that need to happen in order for your business to work. So you're going to have to figure out how to leap ahead of some of those changes or force them to happen. I would just look down different paths than probably the ones you're looking at today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're out of time. That was Evercam. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, this is the last company of the day. Please welcome the Audience Choice winner. Keep in mind, they just came from Startup Alley, and they haven't had a whole lot of time to prepare for this, so congratulations to them. Good luck to them. Please welcome Rody and welcome Hassan Slyby.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hassan, and this is my co-founder and friend, Bassam.